I'm supposed to be picking her up right now. For the past few months, I've been telling myself that I'm ready. Ready to make this thing work with Claire. Ready to build something new. Something lasting. I've spent years moving from one failed relationship to the next, always falling short, always somehow less than what I wanted to be. But when I met Claire, I thought maybe this time it's different. And now here I am, standing in front of the cafe where I promised I'd meet her. The late afternoon light is fading fast, but there's still a crispness in the air, that hint of autumn I don't care for. The coffee shop is a mix of low murmurs and the clink of cups, an average Thursday, another regular moment in the life I'm building. I should be inside with her, hearing her laugh, listening to her talk about her day, about her plans. I should be making small talk, pretending everything's fine, as I've done for months now. But something feels off, something I can't shake. When I saw them through the window, her and him, my heart stopped. It wasn't the kind of shock that just passes in the moment. No, this kind of shock lingers, burns through your chest like fire. She didn't see me. How could she? They were too caught up in each other. She leaned in close, that way she used to with me, and whispered something that made him laugh. The way his hand brushed her arm was intimate, more than just friendly, more than a casual touch. It was personal, too personal. I froze, rooted to the spot outside, hidden behind the reflection of the glass, as if the world was somehow slipping out of focus, becoming distorted. I didn't even have the strength to look away. It's her, my ex, the one I never really let go of, despite the years, despite the distance, despite everything. Her name echoes in my head like a sharp stab. Mia, the first love that should have been enough but wasn't. The one who shattered me, who left, who moved on before I could. And now I'm standing here, watching her in the arms of another man. I should feel anger. I should feel rage. I should storm in there and confront her. But instead, it's like something in me just snaps. I'm not angry at Mia. Not really. I'm angry at myself. I'm supposed to be getting engaged to Claire. I'm supposed to be choosing her. But right now, standing in front of this cafe, all I feel is the weight of a past that won't leave me alone. The man she's with, I don't know him. But I know Mia, and I know exactly what this means. It's not just some casual encounter. There's history there, even if I haven't been a part of it. I close my eyes and take a slow breath, trying to calm myself, trying to regain some semblance of control. I came here to pick Claire up. I came here to move forward, not to get caught up in this mess again. But now, as the minutes tick by, I'm stuck between a past I can't outrun and a future I'm not sure I'm ready for. And I wonder for the first time if maybe I'm making a mistake. I should leave. Right now. I should walk away, pretend I never saw anything, and just focus on Claire, on what's next. But I don't. Instead, I find myself glued to the window, watching them, watching her. It feels like the world around me has warped, like time is bending, stretching, all distorted and hazy. She's laughing now, her head tilted back in that way she used to do when something truly amused her. Her hair falls loosely around her shoulders. I can almost hear the sound of her voice, even from here, and it twists something deep inside of me. Mia, it's like I've never really left her, even though it's been years. Even though the past is supposed to be buried. There was always something unfinished, something I couldn't quite put away. I never told Claire about her, not in the way I should have. Maybe I never fully let go, and maybe that's been my problem all along. I should feel anger. I should storm in there, confront them both, show her the life she threw away, show him what she's doing to me. But instead, I feel hollow, numb, like I'm watching someone else's life fall apart. The thing is, Mia doesn't know this. She doesn't know I'm getting engaged. I thought about telling her, maybe even showing up, just to prove to her that I've moved on. But I never did. I was always too scared, scared of seeing her face again, scared that she'd somehow still have that hold over me, scared of looking like a fool. So instead, I chose silence. I chose Claire. But now, watching Mia, I realize something bitter and unshakable. I didn't choose Claire because I loved her more. I chose her because she was the safer option. The one who wouldn't break me, the one who wouldn't leave without warning, the one who wouldn't drag me back into that suffocating, toxic pull. But Mia was the one who made me feel alive. She was the one who made me believe in the possibility of everything. And now, as I stand here outside the cafe, watching her in the arms of another man, I can't help but wonder if I was just holding on to the ghost of something that could never exist again. Suddenly, I'm not even sure why I'm still standing here. The past feels so much like a lie. The idea of it all, the idea that we could have been together forever, that we were ever meant to be, feels absurd. But I can't stop thinking about the things we never said to each other, the promises we made, the unspoken understanding that no matter what, we would always come back to each other. And now I can see her with someone else, and I know that I was wrong. She's moved on. She's living her life without me. But here's the thing. What if she hasn't really moved on? What if the life she's built is just a facade? What if, after everything, she's still thinking about me? I'm not stupid. I know the signs. That look she just gave him? That wasn't love. That was... that was something else. My phone buzzes in my pocket and I jump. It's Claire asking if I'm still on my way. I glance at the time. 5 minutes until I'm supposed to pick her up. I should go. I should go to her. But all I can think about is Mia. All I can think about is what might have been and what might still be. I text Claire back. I'm almost there. Just a minute. Then almost without thinking, I put my phone away and walked into the cafe. I can feel my heart pounding in my chest, louder than the murmur of voices, louder than the clink of coffee cups. Every step towards them feels like I'm walking through a dream, a nightmare. My thoughts race as I approach their table. Mia looks up first. Her face is a mixture of surprise and something else. Guilt? Regret? She doesn't seem shocked to see me. Not in the way I thought she would. She's not caught in the act. She's expecting something. Her eyes narrow slightly, but she doesn't move away from him. I can see the slight tension in her body, like she's trying to control her own emotions. Derek, she says softly, and there's an unsettling calmness in her voice. She's not even trying to hide the fact that she's with another man. And then I see it, the subtle but unmistakable flicker of guilt in her eyes. It's like she knows exactly how this is going to affect me. I want to scream. I want to throw something, tear the world apart, but instead I stand there, frozen. The man beside her, he looks at me, confused, like he doesn't know who I am. He's young, mid-20s maybe. He looks like the kind of guy who believes in love at first sight, in the kind of romance that can be perfect and untainted. His eyes don't hold the kind of deep, familiar pain that Mia's does. His gaze is entirely unaware of the history that's been written between us. I'm not even sure I hate him. I'm just resentful of what he represents. And then Mia stands up, slowly as if she's unsure of how I'll react. She moves toward me. The last time she stood this close to me, we were tangled in each other's arms, trying to hold on to something that was already slipping through our fingers. You should have told me, she whispers, her voice breaking the silence between us. I could answer her, tell her how I felt when I saw her with him, tell her about the engagement, about the life I've been trying to build without her, but something stops me. I can't do it, not yet. Instead, I do something I never thought I would. I walk away, not just from her, but from everything. I walk out of the cafe, leaving Mia and the stranger behind, leaving the past that's been haunting me for years. I don't know where I'm going yet, but I know this much. Whatever happens next, it's going to change everything. I didn't know where I was going. I only knew that I couldn't stay there. Not in that cafe, not with Mia and her new life pressing on me like a weight I couldn't breathe under. I just needed to get out, to think. I walked for what felt like hours. The city streets blurred together, passing by in flashes of lights, cars, people moving too quickly, too thoughtlessly. My mind, on the other hand, was racing. The knot in my stomach grew tighter with each step, each breath. Every minute I spent walking away from Mia felt like I was slipping further into the kind of man I never thought I'd be. Someone who ran when things got hard. when things started to matter. I wasn't even sure where I was going, but the anger that was simmering inside me needed an outlet. It wasn't just about Mia and that guy. It was about me, too. About the lies I'd told myself, the excuses I'd made. How have I gotten this far? How had I convinced myself that Claire was the one, that she was the answer? And now, just like that, everything felt like a lie. I knew that I couldn't confront Mia, at least not yet, but the feeling of betrayal, of having my entire past thrown back in my face like this, kept gnawing at me. It wasn't just that she was with someone else. It was that she moved on. It wasn't even a question of whether I was still in love with her. It was deeper than that. It was the fact that she had moved forward with her life while I was still standing in the ruins of the past. I'd told myself I was doing the right thing, choosing Claire, choosing stability. But now every corner I turned, every empty street I walked, it all felt like an illusion. I wasn't happy with Claire, and I hadn't been for a while. I'd ignored the signs, the way I avoided serious conversations about the future, the way I started pushing her away without even realizing it. Claire was an easy choice. She was stable, predictable. She never challenged me. She never made me feel alive the way Mia did. But Mia was chaotic. Mia made me feel. The problem was that feeling had always been dangerous. Claire deserved better than me, and I knew it. She deserved someone who was all in. But I didn't know how to be that man anymore. I didn't even know if I wanted to be that man. I found myself walking toward the bar we used to go to, the one where Mia and I spent endless hours talking about dreams and futures we couldn't have. It felt like a dangerous move, but the pull was undeniable. The adrenaline of it was intoxicating. The possibility of confrontation felt almost necessary. There was a part of me that wanted to confront Mia head on, demand answers, demand explanations. But there was also a darker part of me, a part that had always been there, waiting, that craved revenge. That part was awakening now. I took out my phone. The message from Claire was still sitting there, unopened. "Where are you?" She didn't understand. She didn't know what it felt like to have someone you loved, someone who left without warning, returned like nothing ever happened. Claire didn't know Mia. She didn't understand the hold Mia had on me, the power she still held over me, even though I never asked for it. That was the difference between Claire and Mia. Claire was safe, predictable, and clean. Mia was raw, untamed, and relentless. Every moment with her was high, a rush. But with that came a crash, a terrible, inevitable crash that always left me reeling. I walked into the bar, and the familiar scent of cheap whiskey and stale beer hit me like a slap in the face. It was here that Mia and I had talked about everything, our dreams, our future, everything that never was. This place had been a symbol of the potential we shared, a dream we both once believed in. But I didn't belong here anymore. Not with her, not with anyone. I sat at the bar ordering a drink I didn't even want. The glass was cold in my hand, but the heat in my chest was undeniable. It wasn't long before I saw him. He was sitting in the corner, a low profile, not really noticeable unless you were looking for him. And I was looking for him, the guy who was with Mia. Something inside me snapped. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't care. I didn't know why I was doing this, why I was hunting him down, but I did it anyway. I wasn't sure if I was trying to get closure or if I was just angry at the world for spinning out of control. I stood up and walked over to him. "Do you know who I am?" I asked, my voice low and steady. He looked up, surprised but trying to keep his cool. "Yeah, you're the guy she used to talk about." The words hit me harder than I expected. The guy she used to talk about. That was all I was now. The past. A shadow of what could have been. I didn't know why I was doing this, but I couldn't stop. "You think you know her?" I asked, my voice growing colder, more calculated. He shifted uncomfortably. "I don't know what you're talking about, man. She's just a friend. We were just hanging out." I wanted to laugh. "Just hanging out," I repeated, the bitterness dripping from my words. "That's funny, because you don't get to just hang out with Mia. You never just hang out with her." His eyes flickered with confusion, and then something else. Recognition, maybe, or fear. But I wasn't done yet. You don't understand what it means to love someone like that. Not the way I do. I leaned in close, letting the tension fill the space between us. You think you're special. You're not. You're just another guy she'll forget. And with those words, the past and present collided in a way I wasn't prepared for. The anger, the jealousy, the raw, unfiltered emotion I'd spent years burying came surging to the surface. And just like that, I was no longer the man who was trying to build a future with Claire. I was a man who was drowning in the ghost of a love I couldn't escape. I left the bar before the confrontation could escalate further. I was shaking now, the adrenaline of the moment wearing off, leaving behind a sharp, sour taste of regret. I had just told myself I wasn't this person, that I wouldn't let Mia have this kind of power over me again. But I'd lied. I was already plotting my next move. I was already imagining how I would take back control. I wasn't going to let her win. I wasn't going to let her walk away like she always did. This time, I was the one who was going to decide. I walked back toward Claire's apartment, my mind running through all the ways this could go wrong. But deep down, I knew there was only one way this would end, on my terms. And if I had to destroy everything in my path to get there, then so be it. The apartment was quiet when I arrived, too quiet. Claire's keys were still on the kitchen counter, her shoes neatly arranged by the door. It was as if nothing had changed, as if the world hadn't just unraveled in the past few hours. But everything had shifted, everything. I should have felt relieved. I should have been able to walk in and pretend like the day was nothing more than a series of small frustrations. But I didn't. The weight of what had happened, of what I'd just done, sat on me like a brick. I didn't know if I could hold it together much longer. I told myself I'd come back to Claire, to our life, to rebuild. But it wasn't that simple anymore. Mia's face kept flickering in my mind. The laughter, the way she'd looked at that man. I could still hear the ghost of her voice, still see the way she fit with him. It felt like someone was slowly chiseling away at my resolve, and every time I thought I had it together, another piece of me crumbled. Claire was in the living room when I walked in, her head bent over some paperwork she'd been working on. She looked up as I entered, her face softening with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She could tell something was off. I knew it the moment I stepped through the door. "Derek," she said, standing up and walking toward me, her arms opening for a hug. I didn't move. I stood there staring at her, trying to find the right words. I should have hugged her. I should have wrapped my arms around her and pretended that everything was fine. But all I could think about was Mia. Mia, who was out there somewhere, living her life, and Claire, sweet, safe, predictable Claire, who had no idea what I'd just done. She stopped short, her arms lowering, confusion flashing across her face. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice soft but insistent. I felt like I was choking. It wasn't that I didn't care about Claire. It was that I didn't know how to care about her anymore, without the constant shadow of Mia looming over us. It was like I'd been living two lives, and one of them was suffocating me. I couldn't breathe in the life I'd built with Claire, because Mia had cracked open that door again, and I didn't know how to close it. "I saw her," I said, my voice rough, barely above a whisper. Claire's eyes flickered with confusion, then with something else, an understanding that came too late. She didn't need to ask who I was talking about. She knew. "Mia," I said, the name tasting bitter on my tongue. "She's with someone else now. She doesn't even know I'm engaged." I took a deep breath. I didn't know what to do with myself, Claire. I didn't know who I was anymore. Her face fell. The color drained from her cheeks, and for a moment, she was silent. I could see the hurt there, her disappointment, her sadness. But something else was in her eyes, too. Something darker. Something like fear. "You didn't tell me about Mia," she said quietly, her voice tight. "You never told me how she left you. How you were still—" She trailed off, struggling with the words. "You never told me you weren't over her." I swallowed hard. I wasn't, and I'm not. But that's not the point. The point is— I paused. I didn't know how to finish that sentence. The point was that Mia had destroyed me in ways Claire could never understand. And it wasn't fair to Claire to pretend like I could forget her when every second of my life had been defined by Mia's absence, her ghost hanging over me. The thing I hadn't told Claire, The thing I hadn't even told myself was that I hadn't chosen Claire out of love. I'd chosen her out of convenience, out of fear. Fear of being left behind, fear of facing the chaos of my emotions again. But now that fear has turned into something else. Now it felt like I was trapped, suffocated by everything I'd built on shaky ground. Mia had come back into my life, not physically, but in my mind. And I realized in that moment I had a choice to make. I walked past Claire, not out of anger, but out of something else, something deeper. I needed space. I needed clarity. But mostly I needed to make a decision that would determine who I was going to be, who I was going to choose. You don't get it, Claire, I said, my back turned to her, my voice growing harder. I've been living a lie. I chose you, but I didn't choose myself. And that's the part I have to deal with. Not Mia, not you, me dot. I heard Claire take a sharp breath, and then she was right behind me, her voice trembling. What are you saying, Derek? I turned around to face her, my heart racing in my chest. I'm saying that I can't live like this anymore. I can't keep pretending like I'm okay when I'm not. I'm not over Mia. I'm not over this damn mess. And I can't keep stringing you along. Her eyes were wide now, her face pale. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't expected the truth. I didn't ask for this, I said, taking a step back, my words cutting like knives. But I'm not going to lie to you anymore. I never chose you for the right reasons. I chose you because you were safe. But I was never really here. And now, I can't keep lying to both of us. I could see the cracks in her resolve, the disappointment bleeding through. But I wasn't doing this to hurt her. I was doing this because it was the only way I could regain control over my life. I walked toward the door, grabbing my jacket. I wasn't sure where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay here anymore. Not like this, not trapped in the lie of a life that had never really been mine. You're just going to leave? Claire's voice cracked, the raw emotion hanging in the air like smoke. I stopped at the door, my hand on the knob, and I turned to face her one last time. I'm not leaving you, Claire. I'm leaving myself. I need to figure out who I really am, what I really want. And with that, I stepped out into the night, the door clicking shut behind me. The past, the present, and the future all hung suspended in the air. I didn't know what the next step would be, but I was finally taking control. No more lies. No more hiding. No more running from the truth. The next part of the journey was mine to decide. The city was quieter now, the streets beginning to empty out as the evening grew late. The weight of the day still pressed on my chest, but for the first time in what felt like years, I could breathe. The rush of emotions that had been building all day, the anger, the confusion, the fear, had finally started to settle, leaving behind something new, something clearer. I found myself walking aimlessly through the streets, hands shoved in my pockets, trying to wrap my mind around what had happened. I'd left Claire. I'd walked out on her. I had to. It wasn't just the right thing to do. It was the only thing. I couldn't keep pretending that I was something I wasn't, and I couldn't keep living a life built on lies. The past few months, I'd been fooling myself, telling myself I was ready for the future with Claire, that we were on the same path. But I knew now, knew with the brutal clarity that only comes from facing the truth, that I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. And it wasn't Claire's fault. I stopped walking, standing still in the middle of the street, the cool air brushing against my skin. I pulled out my phone, staring at the screen for a long moment before scrolling to Claire's number. I had to say something. I had to explain, but not just to her, to myself. I started typing, my fingers trembling as I wrote, I'm sorry. I didn't choose you because I was ready. I chose you because I was scared, and I can't keep doing that to you. You deserve someone who is whole, someone who isn't haunted by ghosts. I don't know what's next, but I can't be the man you need me to be right now. I hope you understand. You'll always have a place in my heart, but I need to find myself before I can be with anyone. I didn't send the message right away. Instead, I sat on the curb, letting the words hang in the air, uncertain, unfinished. But for the first time, I felt a shift inside. I didn't have to have it all figured out right now. I didn't have to make perfect decisions. I just had to be honest. I decided to walk to the park, the one Mia and I used to visit when things were easy, before everything fell apart. I hadn't been back here since she left, and even now the thought of being near her made my chest ache. But this time it felt different. I needed to confront this part of me, the part that had been lying dormant, the part of me that had been suffocating beneath layers of fear, shame, and regret. The park was empty now, the sun long gone, leaving only the faint glow of streetlights. I stood near the fountain where Mia and I used to sit, the memory of her laughter echoing in my mind. It felt like everything was coming full circle. The boy who had been afraid to love, the man who had been afraid to lose, and now finally the person who was learning to stand in his own truth. I sat on the bench staring at the water, letting the cool night air wash over me. I realized that I had been running from myself for so long, afraid to confront the man I'd become, afraid to face the decisions I had made. But now there was a certain peace in it, not in the choices I'd made, but in the acceptance of the fact that I couldn't change them. I couldn't undo the past, but I could shape the future. The sound of footsteps behind me pulled me from my thoughts. I turned to see Mia standing a few feet away, her hands in her pockets, her face unreadable. For a long moment, neither of us said anything. It was as if the world had stopped, the two of us suspended in the silence between what was and what could have been. "You're not who I thought you were," Mia said quietly, her voice tinged with sadness. There was no anger, no bitterness in her words, just a deep resignation. "I thought I knew you, but I didn't. I thought you'd move on without me, just like I did." I stood up slowly, taking a step toward her. "I didn't move on. Not really. I told myself I was over you, that I was ready for something else. But the truth is, I've been hiding from what I really wanted, hiding from what I really needed." She tilted her head slightly, her eyes searching mine, trying to understand. "And now?" "Now," I said, taking another step closer. "Now I know I have to find out who I really am before I can be with anyone else. I can't keep running away from this. I can't keep lying to myself. I don't want to be a man who lives in fear anymore. I want to be free." Mia stood still, her expression softening. "You think you can just walk away from everything?" "I'm not walking away," I said, shaking my head. "I'm walking towards something. Something real. Something honest. And I don't know what that is yet. But I can't find it if I'm still holding on to the past." She took a deep breath, the weight of my words settling between us. "I didn't expect this," she said, a faint smile tugging at the corner of her lips. "But I'm glad you're finally saying it." "I had to," I said, stepping back, my shoulders finally easing with the release of the tension I'd been holding on to for so long. I had to let go of everything that wasn't mine to hold on to anymore. I walked away from Mia, not because I didn't care, but because I couldn't keep allowing myself to be defined by her. I couldn't keep letting my past decisions dictate my future. There was no quick fix for the years of pain, no magic moment where everything fell into place, but there was freedom in the choice to confront the truth, to stand tall in the face of everything that had been. I didn't know what the future held. I didn't know if Claire and I would ever find our way back to each other, or if Mia would ever be a part of my life again. What I did know for the first time was that I was no longer running from myself. I was finally ready to be the person I needed to be, and that was enough. I took a deep breath as I walked down the empty street, the city alive with the hum of life moving around me. I was ready to face whatever came next. For support, do like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.